Not again. Hey guys, Voltar here, and today we're going to be looking at another PC Engine Duo R. Now this system was sent in to me by the sexy YouTube personality PhoneDork. Now this system is currently RGB and region modded, but he complained of very poor video quality, and seeing a bunch of things that I guess he shouldn't be seeing on the screen, like jail bars and maybe some shimmering effects. So let's take this apart and let's see if we can't help him out. Sit back, strap on, and get ready. Okay, let's start with the disassembly. Not again. Well, I really can't say that wasn't expected. Let's rip this top casing off and let's take a look. Looks like we're going to be repeating history, though. Okay, so we're examining the HUE card slot area, and unfortunately, we do have a old, what I consider now a legacy Dujindan system here. So of course we have the two-part epoxy that engulfs the HUE card pins. That wiring, we'll just kind of trace it out. It goes all the way up, goes to the side, comes around, and it appears that the these never get easy, or these are never easy, but it appears that the RGB circuit and the well, let's tear it open. Let's take a look. Let's see exactly what we're dealing with here. Let's just remove this beautiful bubble wrap, and of course, just as what I expected to find, the buffer for RGB as well as the region mod are all on the same Vero board here. So many problems with these, and this is kind of a, I mean, if you look, I guess if you just looked at the app notes for this THS 7374. Or no, I'm sorry, this is a 3-line video driver. This is the 7314. Excuse me. You would better well know how to build a video circuit around this 3-line buffer here. But nonetheless, what else is there really to say? So, there's a lot of conductor run here. A lot of conductor run. So we've got the chip here with the region and RGB board that rests here, wrapped in bubble wrap, and if we move over here, we have the video lines and power and ground. They come over the CD controller, and then they loop back around, and then they terminate here to the DAC outputs, or the analog video outputs of the 6260. So, it's to my understanding that he, subsequently after my last video on these, he totally changed his process. And let me just say, you really have to commend that, because a lot of people, I think they kind of take my criticism the wrong way, especially people who, spend a bunch of money on a system like this and they feel the need to defend it. That's fine, but my criticisms were never laced with, anything evil or disparaging. I'm just very critical of this stuff. I don't bitch about a lot of things, but we all do things differently, right? We all do things differently, but this is just this is just one of those things where you have to say something. So nonetheless, I know I've done a video of this before. I think we'll go ahead then, we'll move forward with the video, and we'll see if we can get PhoneDork straightened up here. So let's go ahead and let's remove this, and let's work with the HUE card slot just like we did before. Maybe I can do this a little better on camera and show some better techniques. So at any rate, let's do it. So as with any, legacy Dujindan Duo that's been modded, the first order of business is to take everything out. So that's exactly what we're going to do. That's free. These conductors have been taped. gently. Oh, 1 second. There we go. Carefully lift these out. I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to untack these conductors down here very carefully. Too much wire. Oh, the soldering's terrible. Soldering is terrible. Okay, so we're free now. Let's zip these screws out of the Hue card bracket, and let's see if we can't work this epoxy out. Let's do it. Okay, now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to see if the Hue card bracket is in fact epoxied into, or if it will move independently. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of wiggle it a bit here, and yes, it appears to be quite free. So having said that, we will go ahead and we will just lift these little tabs on each side up so we can free it. And you can use anything for this. I'm just going to come in here with my flush cuts, believe it or not, and I'm just going to flatten these tabs so we can evacuate the Hue card pins, just like that. And we'll just very carefully and very gently, you're not forcing it out, you're just working back and forth, and the Hue card bracket frees itself. So, oh, Jesus Christ, a Latter-day Saints. Let's see, we'll take our hot air rework station. I'm just going to take a flat tool and I'm going to soften this with 100 degrees Celsius heat. And I want to avoid getting it in a complete plastic state. My goal is to just soften it up so I can introduce in my tool, and I'm constantly probing this to determine how molten or plastic this is becoming. And we will just try to gracefully remove this. So let's do it. Okay, our heat set to 100 degrees at about 60% airflow. Let's start introducing it. We want to cover all of the area with our heat. So come up about 2 inches, 3 inches, and focus on these pins first. Focus on these pins first. Not quite. So we're just going to heat back and forth, back and forth. We're just softening it up. That's all we're doing. Take your time. Take your time. Not quite. Getting there, but not quite. All right, let's take the heat off. And we're making it. We're making it. A little more. It's a game of heating and probing. Heating and probing. See how soft it's getting. All right, let's try that. Let's see where we stand. There we are. That's what we're after. That's what we're after. Just probing it in there. We're just feeling. So we're doing pretty good here on this side. Let's just move it back and forth. It's a slow process. I'm just showing you another technique to do this so maybe you don't have so much of a mess to clean up here. So we're just introducing that heat. I think that's good. Let's start probing. There we go. That's it. That's it. That's it. On down the line. Okay, very good. So now what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to heat this area so that maybe I can start peeling this back. I want to do something I've really never done on camera before. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm going to shut it. I'm going to shut it, Daddy. Oh! So you want to concentrate your heat, not so much in the center, but where the epoxy meets the main board substrate. So we're just going to come in here. We're just going to start heating. A little more, a little more, a little more. Perfect. And we'll take a little alcohol. Attaboy. This will help. And we're going to come in here with our tool. And look at that. Fantastic. Fantastic. Come right in here. Just push out. Just start pushing out. Just like that. Now if you can see, all of that is just seamlessly coming out so far. We may have some trouble up here though. Now take your fingers, just start pulling it back. Just like that. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I want to cut this epoxy in the center so I can divide it. These pins here, I want to unsolder because they're proving to be somewhat of an anchor for these. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to start cleaning all of these joints like so. Well, not cleaning the joints, I'm just separating the pins. This will make our jobs much easier. Our job much easier. I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to start removing these, and as you can see, we have much better visibility. Perfect. Alright. So, a little more heat. We'll focus on the right section. Turning my airflow up because I just really want to get in there really well. Alright. Fantastic. So we've got that kind of shiny and good. A little more isopropyl in there. Now let's see how well we're doing. Excellent. Excellent. Coming right off. There we are. That's what I wanted to see. Let's come on the left side. And once you start tearing this stuff out, you can kind of see where the flow is. So naturally, we have this little edge up here. And look, I mean, really, it's just if you do it like this, and you control your heat, this becomes relatively easy to get to. So actually, I want to come on the left side. I'm going to start heating the left side. See how much we can get. A little dousing here. And we're just going to introduce our tool like that. That a boy. That's what I'm talking about. And we're just going to come in here. And this should all pretty much seamlessly come out. Fantastic. Fantastic. Let's move over here. There we go. Now we start working with the little pieces. Do some hot air. Right in those pins. Remember, 100 degrees, that's really all you need. Sorry if I bumped the camera there and you can't see my hot air. Okay. Let's see what we've done. Oh yeah, look at that. Excellent, 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 excellent. Okay, so I think I'm going to do now is we're going to zip the board out and we're going to flip it around and we're going to unsolder these conductors so that we can just now take this whole line out. We've got the top and the kind of the shell removed. Now it's just really quick, like a matter of removing these conductors so we can just go straight across. Let's do it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and let's remove these wires. It'll make our job so much easier. Okay, green may still be connected to something there. Nonetheless, let's get to work. All together, all together, all together, boys. Attaboy. That's what I'm after. All in one seemingly large piece, if I'm lucky. There we go. Just evacuate it out just like that. Get your tool in there, as you see me doing. In between those pins, and look at that. Could it get any better? Could it get any easier? I don't know. There's that. Okay. Let's go ahead and remove that. And let's see. Let's just take a look. Okay. So we'll do one strip here. This final strip, we'll just come in here and do some heating. Okay, another dousing. Attaboy. And we'll just take our little tool, and I'm just using a little, I'm using a small little box cutter. That's all I'm using, just to get in here. Just to cut through the sides. There we go. I'm going to cut through this. I'm not really interested right now with what I'm doing. I'm not interested in removing it as much as I am just breaking the bonds. That's what we're working. That's what we're working towards right now. We're breaking that bond, and we're doing a fairly good job of this. Okay. Now, also what I have is just like a long tool. What I'm going to do with this long tool is I'm just going to come in from the back side like that, and I'm just going to run it through just to make sure we're clear on the rear pins, which we are. Good. And it's a little more blunt, so I'm just going to take that tool and I'm just going to start running it through like this. And then we'll move back. And now we remove. Now we remove it. Perfect. Okay. Now to finish this off, because we still have it in there, just want to soak a toothbrush in some isopropyl. I'm going to scrub this down really nicely, like so. It's crazy. Why does Doujin Dance? Why Doujin Dance ever thought this was a good idea? I don't know. Okay, one last cycle of heat and we're finished. And there might be a few little residual pieces left that you could easily work out, like right here, for example. But that's good enough for me. I mean, that poses no risk or harm to anything, and you know, you can get in here now. So I guess we can go ahead and move to the CPU. That's also been globbed. But at any rate, this was just, you know, this is just another method of you know, removing this. You know, if I wasn't filming this and you know, talking and then, you know, working and, you know, kind of slowly, this would go a lot faster. But realistically, guys, in you know, 10 minutes, maybe 10 or 12 minutes, you can rework this. You know, don't feel overwhelmed if you see, you know, 13 metric tons of black hot melt or two-part epoxy over the connector here. You know, it just takes 10 or 12 minutes and a little you know, a few little tricks here, and you can do this too. You can do this too. So let's move down to the CPU. Now, the CPU is something that's always baffled me as to why Dance does this. I mean, he has this, it's one wire, it's one conductor for this entire glob of two-part. But nonetheless, I'll show you how to rework this. The first thing I like to do is just cut it, and we'll bring our hot air in. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to you know, take my tool. I'm just going to clean off. There's a little bit of residual left in there. I'm just going to try to evacuate that real quick before we do any real work, because we're going to need to reuse this pad. Okay, that's pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this conductor. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to bring that conductor back down. Clean off my tip a bit. We want to get it back down and into position, or into its original approximate position. Doesn't have to be perfect here. Okay, great. So that's in pretty good order. Now what I'm going to do is, rather than running that conductor, you can ground pin 29 to pin 30. If you short them together, pin 30 is an analog ground. So just introduce some solder in here. Perfect. That's all it takes. Let's move on. Okay, so we finished up all that nasty two-part on the CPU. So let's go ahead and move into the actual pins on the hue card slot that we'll need to manipulate in order to install the new region mod. Now, the region mod that I like to use is from Jason Rauch, aka GameTech. And in my opinion, it's probably the best around, at least to my knowledge. So if you're wanting to region mod your own Duo R, Turbo Duo, or even a Turbo Graphics, check out his website and for sure pick up one of his boards. So at any rate, let's go ahead and prepare these pins. And it's a really simple process. The only thing that we're doing here is we're just bending these pins straight up. So they've already been cut. They've already been cut. So the only thing we're doing is we're just moving in here with a tool and maybe our finger. We may start the bend with a tool, and once we get it to where we can get a finger in there, we just bend straight up just like that. So let's continue. So the way region protection works, well, part of it anyways, is the data bus, which is, there's an 8-bit bus on this 6502 base system. So bits 0 through 7 between the American version of the Turbo Graphics or Turbo Duo and the Japanese version, D0 through 7 is just backwards. So what the region mod does, it basically just uses a multiplexer and it just reverses the order of the bus, and that's how games work. Now there's also another little mod that, you know, we had to ground pin 29 earlier, but that's pretty much all she wrote. Okay, fantastic. Let's see if we can slide the new region board on. Okay, let's just try to slide this in. Sometimes you have to work it from corner to corner, just like that. Ah, and there she is. Fantastic. Let's solder this in. Perfect. Alrighty, so we went ahead and soldered to the hue card side, and we also soldered to the mainboard side. Now I really didn't want to show this on camera because the point of the video is not to be a tutorial for Jason's region board, but you can certainly go to his videos and see a fantastic install tutorial for these. So let's move on to the RGB side of things for now. So as with all Duo Rs, I like to pull my 5-volt supply and ground from the actual NEC CD controller. Fantastic. Alright, so power and ground have been soldered and connected, so our RGB amplifier is anchored to where it needs to be. Let's move on to the 6260 and do the soldering to the outputs. So I'm going to clean and kind of prep these pins that we'll be pulling composite sync red, green, and blue from on the 6260. I'd like to add just a little layer of solder to make a nice sort of conduit for our new conductors, and just to, you know, kind of remove that film of oxidation. So I want to start by pouring just a little bit of no clean flux directly over the area. I'm going to come in with my soldering iron here, and I'm just going to start raking over areas of interest, just like that. Keep moving back and forth. We want a nice 10 on all of these. Fantastic. We're ready. Let's do it. Okay, great. That's the input side. Now let's work on the outside part of the chip. Let's output to the DIN. Let's do it. And before we close up shop, let's go ahead and flip the board around, and we'll remove C923 and C909, and we will replace those with 4.7 microfarad ceramics. And after replacing the 2 ceramic caps on the bottom of the board, we're finished. That's it. This was just another Douche and Dance rework video. I hope that I did pretty good on this right here. I hope I did a good job explaining the 2-part removal process, you know, fairly thoroughly. I felt that I kind of might have jammed and gooned it up a little bit last time, but I hope it came out and everything was explained fairly well. You know, just another technique of how you just soften the 2-part up without, you know, making a total disastrous mess. You can pretty much move this all out in you know, in just a couple of sections. So at any rate, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have one of these systems, if you have a Douche and Dance legacy system, don't freak out about it. Just watch a couple of my videos here and you know, get some practice in, and you can do this just as well as I can. So having said that, hope you enjoyed. Like the video if you did, and if you haven't subscribed, give it a consideration. There's plenty more where this came from. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.